It's time for reInvent 2021! Let's go!
For nearly a year now, Australians haven't been allowed to leave the country.
Queensland's border could remain closed for months.
Border rules will ease further when 80% are fully vaccinated or on December the 17th.
We're from December the 17th.
December 17.
December 17.
By the 17th of December.
But it's okay. Some of us can be there in person and some of us can't. But we can all take part in reInvent 2021. And in this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks with how to survive and get the best out of reInvent. And I'm also going to show and share with you my list of the sessions and breakout sessions and labs and things like that that I want to attend or that I would attend if I was physically there. And my first tip for you is to make sure that you're registered. If you're going in person, then it may even be too late, but you definitely need to jump online right now. Make sure you've got your ticket to go. Make sure you're booking your travel and accommodation because things get busy really quickly. If you're going to attend virtually, then register online now. I'll put a link below in the description. Don't leave this too late. What you can sometimes find is like, oh, I'll get to that eventually. And then reInvent comes around. Everyone's talking about an announcement. Everyone's talking about things that you want to be able to go and see, and you end up with all you scrabbling around to try and register at that point. It can be done, but just don't leave it that long. If you're not sure how much time you'll have available, still register now so that it's done and you have access when reInvent comes around. Now, the one thing I would point out is that you need to try and make time for reInvent. Obviously, if you're going, then that's time that you can easily kind of slot and say, this is for reInvent. If you're not going and you're not actually going to be there in person, then try to arrange to have some time available to be able to consume reInvent, to be able to see and take part, and to get yourself involved in live events during reInvent. If your company would normally send you to reInvent, then talk to them about giving you time and making that time available during that week. It doesn't have to be the entire week necessarily, but try and get some time that you can devote to being there. Like, remind your company that they're not paying thousands of dollars for your ticket and your accommodation and your travel. Remind them that, and so give you some time to be able to absorb what's going on and say that you will then share that with the rest of the company as well. That's a good idea. That usually gets you over the line. That gives you a bit of a win. I have taken the entire week of reInvent and I've blocked it out. I am doing nothing other than reInvent, and you'll get to see a lot of that on this channel. So subscribe, hit that bell, make sure you get a notification for when the content comes out. Now, my next tip about reInvent is realizing that it's enormous. It's really big. Again, whether you're there in person or not, you can't possibly expect to take everything in. So if you've got FOMO, if you've got fear of missing out, try your best to leave that at the door. Just take the bits that you can, and don't forget that there's all of this content going to be up online during reInvent and after reInvent, so you'll be able to still take things in weeks, months after the reInvent has finished. One thing though that will only be at reInvent and during reInvent is the Hero Lounge. So if you want to come and hang out with the AWS heroes, make your way to the Hero Lounge, find that Hero Lounge. I'm going to try and be somewhat telepresent there, if at all possible. We're going to try and make that work. But it'll be a good place to be able to sort of hang out, talk with like-minded people about the things that you're interested in. And this brings me to my next point, and this is about finding people. reInvent is all about people and making those connections with people. I've said this before, I said this last year. There are people at reInvent who I meet at reInvent. I only know them from being at reInvent, and reInvent's a really awesome time to be able to catch up with those people. I have to do that online now, but that's okay. I'm still trying to maintain those connections and maintain those relationships. That's really important. So find your people, find the areas of reInvent that talk about the things that you're interested in. Spend some time in those areas and find people, connect with people. I know it's difficult sometimes for us in IT, we're often kind of introverted, but Just go and talk to people and make connections and relationships. That's what reInvent is all about. Now, if you're not physically at reInvent and you're online, you can still do this, because there may well be ways that you can connect with people through the reInvent platform. But even if there's not, find people that are giving presentations and say, can I just get 5 minutes of your time? I want to talk to you more about that thing that you're talking about. People do presentations. People say that they're interested in topics because they're trying to connect with you and want to talk to you about things. So if you want to connect with me, jump on my LinkedIn, say hello, we can jump on a Zoom call and have a chat. I'd love that. So connect with people, because that's what reInvent is really all about. Now, when you're registered and you have access to the list of all of the sessions that you can sign up to, it's useful to have a strategy. And so this is my strategy that I recommend for you. First of all, obviously, know what you're interested in, the things that you're already interested in and the things that you're interested in learning about next. And you can, of course, focus in on those sections in the overall structure. But what do you do when you sort of get into those different areas and you're looking at the different topics? Well, my tip for you is, if you see something in there which could be easily Googleable, or let's say that you've already seen videos about it on something like my channel or a different YouTube channel, or you've read a blog post about this kind of thing already, maybe give those ones a miss. Look for those sessions which combine different services together, which come up with an interesting idea, which talk about methods for the ways to use services. Brand new services may be a little bit different, but you can essentially get a lot of the information about these services from the product page. So don't necessarily waste your time by sitting there listening to someone just telling you about one thing. Learn about how to use the services that AWS have on offer. And then make sure that you don't absolutely pack out everything inside of your agenda for the week or for the day or for however long that you've managed to allocate for reInvent, because you're going to want to spend time talking with other people. You're going to want to spend time going to the show floor if you're actually in Vegas for the actual event. You're also potentially going to want to have time to be able to slot other things in as they are announced during the week. Because, for example, at the keynote, there's going to be some announcement about new services. That's at all of the keynotes, whether it's the main one or Swami's machine learning keynote. There's going to be announcements about new things, and it's likely that there's going to be new sessions put into the schedule at that time that you can jump into to then go and talk about and hear about those new services. So keep an eye out for that when those keynotes are delivered. Also, we will be analyzing keynotes on this channel, so make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I don't want you to miss out on some of the awesome coverage that we've got coming up throughout reInvent. I keep saying we, it's me, but I'm also going to be able to get in lots of guests and lots of people to talk to who are very close to the announcements and very close to the services inside of AWS. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so for me, the sessions that I'm going to go to during reInvent, well, they do primarily center around artificial intelligence and machine learning. No surprise there. And what I'm really interested in at the moment, and I will be, I think, for the next several months, and you'll see this reflected on the channel, is how we as an industry, how machine learning, artificial intelligence, how as an industry, we actually work projects through. So if you look at developers, they've got DevOps, they've got pipelines, they've got build servers, they've got Jenkins, they've got code pipeline, they've got GitHub Actions. They know what they're doing, and if you slot into that industry, you can just pick up the tools and run with it. I feel like we haven't really matured that much in the machine learning space, and I am really interested in finding out more about what other people do in relation to this and what some of those options are, so that we can try and tie together what the industry best practice really should be. And so I've got a number of sessions in my schedule that I'm outlining. Links to all of these are going to be below. And these are the sessions which talk about how to use SageMaker for pipelines, how to use SageMaker for different parts of the machine learning flow, how to run enterprise scale, large scale machine learning with this machine learning life cycle inside of AWS. So I've got a number of sessions which I'm interested in tapping into, which will talk about things like that. Now, in addition to that, there are also some Chalk Talk sessions and labs from other areas that also talk about machine learning. And I'm really interested in tapping into these as well. In particular, we've got DOP211, and that's about building scalable machine learning pipelines, but this is from a DevOps point of view. And so I'm expecting to see an alternative viewpoint to the thing I'm interested in, but from a different area. And expect this, right? Expect that Amazon Web Services have differing opinions on the way things that should be done. There are different teams there. There's a machine learning team, there's a DevOps team, there's an IoT team, there's a serverless team. They will all have slightly different takes on how Amazon Web Services can be applied to different kinds of problems. And that's okay. I want to hear about all of them, and I want to maybe cherry pick and pick the pieces that I'm most interested from those. So that's the DOP session. There's also a serverless session. So this is SVS313, and this is serverless machine learning. The title is Machine Learning Without Managing Machines. Okay, so it's machine learning serverless style. I absolutely want to hear about what the current conversation is in that space. And then finally, IOT306. IOT306 is building a people counter with anomaly detection. This is something that we're kind of used to, but using AWS IoT and machine learning together. Again, I'm really interested in seeing how people with different focuses, so in this case IoT, come to the machine learning space. And I think that's where you can get a lot of insight. And it's the kind of session where you can get really useful little nuggets of information that you don't necessarily get by going to Google and finding blog posts, unless you're particularly lucky. This is the kind of thing that reInvent's all about. Now, reInvent's not just about sticking to what you know. You also want to push yourself a little bit too. And this is where maybe you go to a 100 or 200 level session about something that you've never done before. And I'm really interested this year to dig further into robotics. And you'll know that if you're watching this channel. I've got some robotics challenges that I need to build. Now, Deep Racer is great. There's going to be a whole ton of Deep Racer stuff at reInvent, no doubt. Go along, take part, have a race, have a play. Don't sink too much time into it, because the more effort you put in, often the less reward you get back. Actually, if you just play around with it, have fun, then you get something out of Deep Racer. That's great. Now, Deep Racer uses RoboMaker in the back end for the simulated environment. This is great. But Deep Racer just gives you all of this stuff out of the box. What about if you want to do it yourself? So I'm really interested in learning more about the robotics services inside of AWS. Things like RoboMaker and how we can integrate those into machine learning projects. So there are 3 different robotics sessions that I'm interested in going through to. These start with ROB as their prefix. So ROB301, 401 and 402. These all look really interesting to me. Patterns for building cloud-enabled robots, closing the sim to real problem. So synthetic data, I've spoken a lot about that on this channel and will do more. Synthetic data for machine learning training. Well, how do you use synthetic data for machine actual robotics training? And also ROB402 is building AI-enabled robots for pick-and-place operations. So definitely interested in all of this robotic stuff. I'm going to try and tap into these sessions as well. Also, keep an eye for people that you know are going to be delivering awesome sessions. So Ben Kehoe, who is, of course, one of the early heroes with AWS, he is a robotics engineer, and tapping him up for some information is also on my to-do list. I'm almost done. I've just got 2 things to throw in at the end here, 2 little sections of 3 sessions each. The first one is really just the fun stuff. So these are the fun projects, the builders projects, the things that I want to hear about. These are the things that definitely combine together multiple AWS services in creative and interesting ways. They've probably solved problems in novel ways. I want to hear about these. And so these are BOA305. This is creating an immersive Minecraft experience with IoT and ML. Now, Minecraft and ML, yes. Minecraft and IoT, I don't get that. I'm interested in finding out. Combine them all together. It sounds amazing. I'm going to have a look at that, BOA305. Then we have MDS305. This is automate video clipping and highlights generation. So in other words, putting together an automated way to edit video. And if you've watched this channel at all, you'll know that's something that I've already done. So I'm interested in that case just to see someone else's take on that problem space. And then we have BOA302. This is build an app to find your next favorite brew. Not necessarily my kind of thing, unless they're talking about tea, of course. However, I'm always interested to see novel ways that machine learning has been applied into the real world. And then finally, I've got 3 sessions, which I've kind of grouped together just at the end here just to talk about. These 3 sessions, honestly, they may be a little bit more difficult. They may be a little bit more confronting. And especially to someone like me who lives a relatively privileged life, it's something that I have to stop, take notice of and take in without necessarily shouting from the rooftops, I'm amazing and I understand all these social problems, and putting all these things out on Twitter. Sometimes we all need to stop and listen. And so these 3 sessions I think are useful for this. ABW001, Machine Learning Opportunities for Underrepresented Groups. I'm not in an underrepresented group. If anything, I'm in a way overrepresented group. And so it's my responsibility to stop and listen and learn what I can do in practical terms to address that inequality. Then there's ABW002. This is building better products for people of all identities. This is specifically in the AI ML space, and it will no doubt be talking about the service that was launched last year at reInvent, where we're looking to try and make sure that when we train our machine learning models, we're taking into account everything and we're not loading bias, and I don't mean machine learning bias, I mean sociological bias, into our machine learning models. So these are important topics. These are things that we need to stop and listen and take into account when we go back to our day jobs and we start working with these technologies again. And then finally, but absolutely not last or least, we've got sustainability. We've got COP26, which as I record this, it's just coming to an end. There's mixed reviews about how successful that's been. It looks more and more like it's up to us and the companies we work for and the companies we work with and how we're going to tackle climate change, carbon reduction, sustainability, energy reduction. And so AIM, so this is an artificial intelligence and machine learning session, AIM207, AI ML for sustainable innovation, insight at the edge. Now it'll be interesting to see in depth what this session's about. Artificial intelligence and machine learning has got a lot to give when it comes to climate change, climate science, modeling, all that kind of stuff, taking vast data sets and trying to figure out and navigate a path through the mess that we kind of find ourselves in. But it's not just that. And I hope to have more content on this coming on this channel where we talk specifically about this, but it's actually how can we use compute to be sustainable? How can we reduce the amount of carbon emissions from the compute that we run inside of Amazon Web Services? So there's lots of different pieces that we can actually think about when it comes to climate change, when it comes to carbon reduction, and when it comes to sustainability with compute loads in general, but definitely in machine learning with the big, heavy processing that we use in this industry. So that is a snapshot of the things that I'm interested in digging into and the sessions that I'll be following during reInvent. Remember, if you're there or not, you can still take part in reInvent by going online and registering and attending some of these sessions. I'll have a description and links available below in the description. You'll see all of those different sessions that I'm interested in joining. Don't forget, this channel will have lots of stuff around reInvent. I am more excited than I've been for a long time on YouTube to actually put this stuff together. There'll be live streams that will then obviously be available after the fact as well. We'll also maybe throw up some videos as well in between times. Remember, there'll be lots of people ringing in, dialing in, calling in, being on the show floor, being at reInvent, not being at reInvent, and we'll all come together in this location to talk about reInvent and what's happening, the services that are announced, and generally how to get the best out of reInvent. So again, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell. This is for real now because you can definitely get those notifications to come through to tell you that the content is available. I don't want you to miss out, and it's great if you can be involved in some of those live conversations. Don't forget to connect with people. Don't forget to connect with me. Join me on LinkedIn as well, where a lot of these conversations will be happening. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great reInvent 2021, and I will see you very soon.